Welcome to Miss Scarlett, the place to be feminine. Subscribe and enjoy. Ava was rushing home from school, her thoughts consumed by an upcoming math test. Her mind was so focused that she barely registered the time, already late for her usual after-school routine. Wow, I gotta hurry! She quickened her pace, her heart racing as she thought about the consequences of her delay. Her parents were strict and punctual, and she knew the lecture she'd receive if she weren't home when they asked her about her day. As she rounded the corner to her street, her heart sank. Parked outside their house was her mother's car. Great, just what I need, she muttered under her breath. With a resigned sigh, she approached the front door, steeling herself for the inevitable interrogation about her tardiness. But as she inserted the key into the lock, she heard voices from inside, a mix of her mother's sharp tones and her brother, Michael's, usual quiet murmurs. Ava paused, her hand frozen on the doorknob. Something about the tone of the conversation stopped her from entering. It was an unusual seriousness in her mother's voice, and an uncharacteristic meekness in Michael's responses. Curious, yet unsure if she should intrude, Ava remained silent, straining to hear the conversation. I don't understand, Michael. Your father and I have spoken about this before. You need to apply yourself more. With your grades, we won't be able to get you into a decent college. Her mother's voice carried a sharp edge. There was a long pause, and then Michael replied, his voice small and hesitant. I'm sorry, Mom. I'll try harder. It's just, school isn't really my thing, I guess. A chair scraped back, and the rustling of fabric suggested her mother was standing, probably to deliver another lecture. Ava knew that her mother's serious talks usually involved a lot of dramatic hand gestures and pacing. It has to be your thing, Michael. Your father and I didn't work our fingers to the bone to send you to a good school for you to throw it all away. You need to pull your weight in this family. I know, Mom. I'm sorry. Michael's voice was muffled, as if he were looking down or had his hand over his face. You need to spend less time moping around in your room and more time studying. And for goodness sake, stop stealing your sister's clothes! Ava's eyes widened at this, and her hand involuntarily tightened on the doorknob. What was her mother talking about? Michael didn't respond immediately, and when he did, his voice was almost inaudible. I like trying them on sometimes. It's just for me, no one else. I won't do it again. You better not! Your father and I have eyes on you, Michael. We won't tolerate this kind of behavior. You need to man up and start acting like a Dalton. There was another long pause, and then the sound of footsteps as her mother apparently left the room. Ava stood frozen, processing what she'd just heard. Michael liked wearing her clothes? She couldn't quite process this information, her mind swirling with questions. Before she could consider the implications further, she heard her mother's voice calling out. Ava! Is that you? Get in here and explain why you're late. With a start, Ava realized she'd been caught eavesdropping. Quickly composing herself, she opened the door and stepped inside, feigning nonchalance. Hey, Mom. Sorry, I got held up talking to Miss Carter about an assignment. Her mother's eyes narrowed, but she let it go with a simple, well, don't let it happen again, and get changed for dinner. Your father will be home soon. Ava nodded and turned to head upstairs, her mind racing. As she climbed the steps, she glanced back, catching Michael's eye as he lingered in the doorway of the kitchen. He looked nervous, his eyes flicking between her and their mother. Ava gave him a small, reassuring smile, hoping to convey that their secret was safe with her. The evening passed in a blur as Ava processed this new information about her brother. She picked at her food, her mind elsewhere, formulating plans and questions. After dinner, she retired to her room, claiming a headache, eager to give Michael a chance to join her. She knew that he usually took the opportunity of their parents' post-dinner relaxation to sneak into her room and borrow her clothes, as their parents were usually occupied with the news or a book at this time. Sure enough, not long after she'd changed into her pajamas and settled onto her bed with a book, she heard a soft knock on her door. "Come in," she called, feigning distraction as she pretended to be engrossed in her book. Michael poked his head around the door, his eyes flitting around the room before settling on her. "Hey, Mom and Dad upstairs?" Ava nodded, not looking up from her book. "Yeah, they're watching the news. What's up?" He stepped into the room, closing the door softly behind him. "Nothing. Just thought I'd say hi." Ava smiled, marking her place in her book with her finger. "Hey, everything okay?"
"You seem a little off tonight."
Michael hesitated, twisting his hands together nervously.
"I'm fine. Just, the usual chat with Mom."
Ava's heart went out to him, and she patted the bed beside her. "Come on, spill. You know I'm a good listener." Michael sat down beside her, his shoulders hunched as if carrying a heavy weight. "It's just Mom and Dad. They have these expectations, and I can't seem to live up to them." Ava reached out and squeezed his hand. "I know, they can be a lot to handle, but I'm here for you, right?" He offered her a small smile. "Thanks, Ava. That means a lot." There was an awkward pause as they both considered the unspoken topic hovering between them. Eventually, Ava cleared her throat. "So, you like trying on my clothes, huh?" Michael's head snapped up, his eyes wide and panicked. "What? No! I don't know what you're talking about." Ava fought to suppress a smile at his denial. "Relax. I'm not going to tell anyone. I heard Mom talking to you earlier. It's cool, really." "You're not mad?" Michael's voice was laced with hope. "Why would I be? It's your life, your choice. Besides," she grinned, "it's not like I'm using those clothes anymore." Michael let out a breath, his shoulders relaxing.
"Thanks, Ava. You have no idea how much this means to me."
"So, what? You're like a secret crossdresser or something?" Ava asked, her curiosity getting the better of her. Michael bit his lip, considering her words. "I guess so. I've always liked the idea of dressing up, trying on different personas. It's just fun, Ava nodded, encouraging him to continue. "And it's not just the clothes," he confessed, his voice dropping to a whisper. "I like to paint my nails sometimes, experiment with makeup. I even tried on a wig once. It was awesome." Ava's eyes widened, intrigued by this side of her brother that she'd never seen before. "No way! You have a wig?" Michael smiled, his enthusiasm breaking through his usual reserved demeanor. "Yeah, it's amazing. Long, blonde, and curly. It makes me feel like a different person." Ava couldn't contain her laughter. "You're a secret drag queen! This is awesome! We have to do your makeup together." Michael blushed, looking down at his hands. "Really? You'd do that with me?" "Hell yeah! It'll be fun! Our little secret." "Thanks, Ava. You have no idea how much this means to—" "Don't say it." Ava cut him off with a smile. "I know. Now come on. Let's look in my closet and make you a cute sissy." The siblings spent the next hour playing dress-up, with Ava teaching Michael the basics of makeup application. Michael eagerly soaked up her instructions, his eyes lighting up as his face transformed. "Wow, I can't believe this is me!" Michael exclaimed, turning this way and that in front of the mirror, the blonde wig transforming his appearance. Ava stood back, admiring her handiwork. "You look amazing! Totally unrecognizable!" Michael beamed, preening under his sister's praise. "Do you want to try on one of my dresses? I think I have one that might fit you, Ava suggested, already rifling through her closet. Really? You'd let me wear one of your dresses? Michael asked, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Of course. Here, try this one. Ava held up a simple black dress, pulling it out of the closet. Michael took it from her, running his hands over the soft fabric. It's beautiful. Are you sure? Positive. Go on. Try it on. Michael disappeared into the bathroom to change, emerging moments later, the dress hugging his slim frame. Turn around, Ava instructed, reaching for a tube of red lipstick. I need to see the whole effect. Michael obliged, turning slowly as Ava applied the lipstick, his transformation complete. There, now you're a proper diva. Work it, girl! Ava laughed, clapping her hands. Michael struck a pose, his face alight with joy. I feel incredible, like I could take on the world. You look incredible, Ava affirmed, giving him a playful nudge. Now strut your stuff. Show me your runway walk. Michael laughed, striking a model-esque pose, one hand on his hip as he pretended to walk down an imaginary runway. Their laughter was cut short, however, by the sound of approaching footsteps. Quick, the wig! Ava hissed, yanking it from Michael's head and stuffing it under a pile of clothes. The door opened to reveal their father, his eyes narrowing at the sight that greeted him. Michael, still in Ava's dress, his face half made up, and Ava holding a tube of lipstick. What's going on in here? Their father demanded, his voice harsh. Ava's heart sank as she saw the anger and confusion in her father's eyes. It's just a game, Dad, she said, forcing a casual tone. We were playing dress-up. Michael stayed silent, his eyes downcast, his usual reticence returning in the face of their father's disapproval. Their father's gaze flicked between them, suspicion clouding his features. Dress up? Michael is a bit old for that, isn't he? It was my idea, Ava interjected, stepping in front of Michael to shield him from their father's gaze. I was feeling nostalgic and asked Michael to play along. Their father's eyes narrowed further, but before he could respond, their mother's voice called from downstairs. John, are the kids ready? We need to leave soon. Yeah, we're coming, he called back, his eyes never leaving his children. Get changed, Michael. Now. Michael nodded, his shoulders hunched, and he scurried toward the bathroom to change. Their father's gaze remained fixed on Ava, his jaw tight. See that he does. And Ava, we need to talk. Now. Ava's heart sank as she watched Michael disappear into the bathroom. She knew that her father's talk would involve a stern lecture and likely some form of punishment. As their father turned to leave, Ava caught a glimpse of Michael, his face pale and anxious, watching from the bathroom door. She gave him a small, reassuring smile and a subtle thumbs up before following their father out of the room. The reprimand from their father was swift and harsh, delivered in the study with the door closed. I won't have that kind of behavior in this house, Ava. You know how hard your mother and I have worked to give you both a good name, and you pull a stunt like this? It's unacceptable! Ava kept her head down, accustomed to her father's lectures. I know, Dad. I'm sorry. You will be. You're grounded for a week. No electronics. And you will keep an eye on your brother. I won't have him turning into some whatever that was. Ava nodded, keeping her true thoughts to herself. She knew there was no point in arguing. Her father's mind was made up. As she left the study, she found Michael waiting for her in the hallway, his eyes red-rimmed. I'm sorry, Ava. I shouldn't have gotten you in trouble, he whispered. Ava reached out and squeezed his hand. Don't be sorry. It was my idea, and I'll handle the consequences. Just promise me you won't stop being you, okay? Michael offered her a small, grateful smile. Okay. Thanks, Ava. For everything. The following days passed slowly for Ava as she endured her grounding, but it gave her time to reflect on Michael and his secret. She couldn't shake the image of him, transformed and full of joy, from her mind. She wanted to see that side of him again, to bring him out of his shell. One afternoon, as she was studying at her desk, an idea struck her. Quickly, she began to formulate a plan, a smile spreading across her face. That evening, as their parents were preparing dinner, Ava pulled Michael aside in the hallway. "Hey, I have an idea. Tonight, after Mom and Dad go to bed, we're going out." Michael's eyes widened. "Out? Where?" "You'll see. It's a surprise. Just be ready to sneak out once they're asleep." "But won't we get caught?" Michael fretted, his eyes darting toward their parents. Ava grinned, already excited by the prospect of their adventure. "Not if we're careful. Now go get some sleep. It's going to be a late one." Michael looked uncertain, but Ava was determined. She gave him a nudge. "Don't worry, sis. I'll take care of everything." Michael offered her a small smile, his trust in her evident. "Okay, Ava, lead the way." Later that night, as their parents slept soundly, Ava woke Michael with a soft shake of his shoulder.
"Time to go,"
she whispered. Michael sat up, rubbing his eyes.
"What time is it?"
"Almost midnight," she whispered back, already pulling on a pair of jeans. Michael yawned, but his curiosity got the better of him, and he soon matched her excitement, quietly dressing in the dark. Ava led the way downstairs, moving carefully to avoid any creaking floorboards that might wake their parents. In the kitchen, she produced 2 sets of clothes from a bag, a simple dress for herself and a more elaborate ensemble for Michael, complete with a sparkly top and a pair of heels. Michael's eyes widened at the sight, but he said nothing, changing into the outfit with a shy smile. Ava grinned, pulling on her own dress. Now for the final touch. She reached into the bag again, producing a small box. Inside were various tubes of makeup and a blonde wig. Michael's eyes sparkled with delight as he understood their destination. Soon, their transformations were complete, and Ava took a step back to admire their handiwork. "Wow, you look amazing!" Michael exclaimed, twirling in front of the mirror, the sparkly top catching the light. Ava smiled, pleased with their reflection. "You look fabulous, sis. Now let's go show the world." They crept out of the house, the night air cool on their skin.
"Where are we going?"
Michael asked, his eyes glittering with excitement. Ava grinned, taking his hand. "You'll see.
"It's not far."
They made their way through the quiet streets, sticking to the shadows, until they reached their destination, a local Sissy bar, its neon sign flashing invitingly. Michael's eyes widened as he realized their plan. "Oh my God, Ava! This is brilliant!" Ava grinned, her excitement mirroring his own. "I know, right? Now come on, let's go strut our stuff." They slipped inside, the loud music and vibrant atmosphere enveloping them. No one batted an eye at their entrance. They blended right in. Michael's eyes shone as he took in the colorful, flamboyant surroundings, his shy smile transforming into a beaming grin. They found a table and settled in, ordering drinks, their faces alight with anticipation as they waited for the main event, the femme show. The host for the evening, a tall, striking queen in a purple gown, soon took to the stage, introducing the performers with a flourish. Michael's eyes never left the stage, his excitement tangible as each queen performed, their confidence and glamour on full display. He clapped and cheered, his eyes sparkling with a mixture of awe and inspiration. Ava sat back, her own excitement giving way to a sense of pride as she witnessed her brother's joy. She knew, in that moment, that she'd helped him discover a part of himself, and it filled her with warmth. As the final performer took to the stage, Michael leaned over, his eyes shining.
Thank you, Ava. I feel alive, like I can finally breathe.
Ava's heart swelled, and she squeezed his hand.
You're welcome, sis.